Welcome to episode 8 of the ABC Reading Challenge. Today we're reading books Q, R, and S. This is Ruby Jean Reads. I'm Ruby Jean, and I love to read. I also love to make lovely, grave mistakes, and that first mistake is going to result in a little bit of a switch up. We are going to read books Q, R, and S today, but we're going to read them a little bit out of order. We're going to be reading book R first because I have the ebook from the library and it returns at 6 a.m. tomorrow, and it is currently 5:30 p.m. the day before it's due. So we have to quite literally read this entire book tonight in one sitting. That book is Ruthless Vows. This should not be a surprise if you watched episode 2 where I read Divine Rivals. I did say I wanted to read book R because I absolutely love Divine Rivals. I believe I gave it 5 stars, but I also said I was really scared to read Ruthless Vows because a lot of people are saying the second book isn't as good as the first. I'm not going to waste much of your time. We're going to get started on this spoiler free, and then we're going to move straight to book Q. And I actually have the craziest, most bonkers yet amazing story about book Q, but we'll get there after we finish book R.
I wanna turn my phone off, but that's where all my friends are. What do I do? Why is it so hard?
I turned on some ambiance music and got started reading Ruthless Vows. Also, of course, while snuggling Soka because she is absolutely cuddly this evening. I'm at 28%, and as of right now, I'm still really into this book. I feel like it's taking a while to pick up, though. I have a couple theories of what's gonna go down. I really like the character arcs. I really like the stories. I really like how Rebecca Ross is also playing with certain tropes. It's about 7 p.m. right now. I'm still on track, I think, to finish this book before way too late tonight. But I was getting really hungry, so Sebastian ordered some pizza, so hopefully I can keep cranking this out.
Are the days that I used to have someone right beside me. Now I can find in my phone screen.
We have officially gravitated towards bed. 1, because it's way past my bedtime, and 2, because we've officially made it to part 4 of this book, which means we have a little over 100 pages left, but that's in the ebook, so realistically I think less than that. So let's just take a minute and talk about this book before I finish it, because I have a lot of thoughts, as always. What's new? I see why people said that this book is not as great as the last one, or maybe it was disappointing, because I think the book definitely shifts gears a ton. The plots are very different, the romance, very different, all of that. But in my opinion, I almost love it. Like, it feels like an actual story. Like, this feels like a genuine part 2 to Divine Rivals. I honestly just think this book is really beautifully written. I will say the second book has been a lot more predictable. Even the first one did feel kind of predictable, but it was still really good. Same thing with this one. Like, it's really good. I kind of have an idea of what's coming next. I have been shocked a couple times. Not to say that this book has been entirely predictable. I've been able to predict some of the plot twists, and also the dramatic reveal for the plot twist at the end of part 3 going into part 4. I didn't feel like it was that dramatic of a reveal. Like, I feel like it was pretty easy to guess that was going to happen next, but maybe that's just me. I'm very interested to see the fallout and everything that happens, and also I have to remind myself that this is not like a series, this is just a duology. So like how this book ends is how the story ends for the characters, and I'm just not ready for that yet. But then again, this book is returning tomorrow morning, so I have no choice but to be ready for it. Me and Sebastian were getting a little bit delirious last night, and I finished this book around 11:30 p.m. We were both dead tired, and honestly, I did need time to kind of process how the book ended, so I decided to sleep on it. Add it to the chart. Ruthless Vows. We're gonna give it 4 stars. Realistically, I think it's 3.5 stars. But I'd rather round up to a 4 than down to a 3 for Goodreads. Not as amazing as the first book. Like, let's just start there. That first book, like, really just hit different. This book, on the other hand, it felt like a really good resolution in part 2 to that book. I will say I was pleasantly surprised considering there was so much negativity around this book. I was expecting to hate it, given what everyone was saying. So I do think I was pleasantly surprised because I went into it with really low expectations. Now let's talk about book Q. When I first decided I was going to do the ABC Reading Challenge Q, I knew exactly what I was going to read for Q. Without a doubt, I was going to be reading Quicksilver. And I actually had the ebook from the e-library until about 2 days ago. For those of you who don't know, on Libby, it's like a library, but for ebooks and audiobooks, and you have to wait in line for your turn to get the book, and then once you have it, you only have it for so many days. Although it's not like a physical library where you can return it a day or two late and just take the fee. They just take the book back. I have 2 different library cards for 2 different states, a library card for North Carolina and a library card for Tennessee. Any book that I get from North Carolina, I have for 21 days. However, any book that I get from Tennessee, I only have for 14. I accepted the book Quicksilver a little early, thinking I had it for 21 days, when in fact I only had it for 14, and I didn't realize that until the day it returned. So I was very heartbroken. I immediately got back in line for the book, and now I'm on a 2-month wait list. So I decided to run to Barnes & Noble's, thinking, you know what, I've been dying to read Quicksilver. Maybe I need to have a copy on my bookshelf. If you already know where this is going, then you know a lot more about this book than I do. Apparently, she only published the book in an ebook, and it blew up on TikTok, and you can only get it in ebook. So I go to Barnes & Noble's asking for it, and the girl I asked, she was like, oh, it's not actually being sold as a physical copy until December. So I'm heartbroken again. I'm like, I don't know what to do. At the time, I was just panicking at a Barnes & Noble's, and I had somewhere to be, okay? It was supposed to be like a run and get the book, pay and get out. I then go to my Goodreads. I'm like, sure enough, I have to have another book that starts with a Q. The next runner-up is the 3 Star Wars books about Queen Padme. I've recently gotten into Star Wars, and Padme is one of my favorite characters, and so I really would have loved to get more backstory about her from these books. Unfortunately, although my Barnes & Nobles has like every Star Wars book in existence, they do not have Padme's. Sure enough, no other Q books are on my TBR. This girl who was working at Barnes & Nobles, I wish I got her name. She did subscribe. So, if you're watching this, hi, please reach out to me and tell me what your name was so I can like email Barnes & Noble's corporate and tell them that you're like the best thing ever. Because I tell this girl, this may sound crazy, but I have a booktube channel and I'm doing an ABC reading challenge and I need to read a book that starts with a Q, and I need to get this book like right now. She walked through the Barnes & Noble store with me, pointing out all the Q books that she knew. And we did come across one she said she hadn't read, but she'd heard really good things about. And she told me that if I liked Throne of Glass, I would probably like this book. And she sold me on The Queen's Assassin. I have read the premise of this book. It sounds really, really good. Also, the cover is just stunning, and it's only a duology. So like I'm avoiding series for the ABC Reading Challenge, but a duology is fine. Also, I have been dying to read a fantasy book recently, so I'm just so glad that she found me a fantasy book that starts with Q. It's about time, I believe, that I post a subscribers to seconds video, so I think we're gonna start off this book with a subscribers to seconds. Reading a second for every subscriber I have on my booktube channel, day 17. I currently have 3,906 subscribers, which gets us to 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 6 seconds. Premise, 10 out of 10. Plot, 10 out of 10. Writing style, 10 out of 10. The main character. I'm not even going to give it a number. I'm just going to spell it out for you. The female main character literally is making me grind my teeth because of how obnoxiously cliche she is in all the wrong ways, but I will say the plot is so much bigger than just the female main character that it's not actually ruining the book for me. Also, I have a ton of theories already, waiting whether or not they're going to be proven or not. I really need to stop like predicting what's going to happen in a book, because usually when it does happen, then I'm no longer surprised, shocked, or able to enjoy it. I do have dinner plans in an hour, so I'm going to see how much more of this I can read before then. We're definitely going to do our best.
Lonely nights talking the pixels. I don't go out, don't intermix with the crowd, and I wonder why I'm sitting all.
I woke up early this morning to read some more before clocking into work, read a little bit more in my lunch, then got back to work. And I'm officially clocked out now and ready to finish The Queen's Assassin. I'll apologize also off the bat about the glare on my glasses. My eyes are bothering me, so I'm not going to be switching to contacts. Let's talk about The Queen's Assassin, because I have a ton of thoughts. The main character has somehow gotten more and more annoying throughout the book, and honestly, it's very discouraging and upsetting to see. It's kind of how I'd expect a middle-aged man to write a young girl and not another woman to write a young girl. Her whole personality is that she's super emotional and she can't keep her emotions straight in anything. And because of that, she makes a lot of dumb decisions and almost compromises the mission multiple times. And then the guy has to save her in every single situation. And somehow I'm supposed to see that and be empowered by that because it's definitely reading like it's supposed to be empowering. Another side note, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. I'm definitely not complaining about it, but there is a kingdom called Renovia. And whenever I see that, I am just like belting the national anthem to Genovia. So that's a fun little tidbit for you there. The plot's good. I honestly hate that the female main character is so frustrating because the plot is amazing. Like, even if she was just a really boring two-dimensional character, I think I would have thoroughly enjoyed this book because the plot is just good. I'm like 99% convinced I already have predicted what the main plot twist is going to be, so I'll see if I'm right about that, and we'll see if the book ends interestingly enough that I'm excited for book 2.
A connection, is that so hard to ask for? I just want something that's real, that's alive. Don't want no white,
A complete 180 of my opinions on this book. Was I 100% right about the plot twist at the end? 100%. I totally predicted it. I've known since chapter 2, so that did not surprise me. What did, however, surprise me, though, was that this book does not have a happy ending. It has a morally complex ending. I love when there's a moral oxymoron, if you will. And this book gave that to me. Also, every complaint I had about this book was actually explained in a reasonable way towards the end to the point where I'm actually very pumped to pick up the next book. So, you all have been warned. Is the first 3/4 of this book really hard to read? Yeah, like you just kind of got to power through it, but it is so worth it for that last quarter. Like, even with the huge plot twist being predictable, everything that happened as a consequence of the plot twist, I had not predicted. So that was actually really, really cool. Also, I think it's worth noting that the girl who was annoying me the entire time, after the plot twist happened, she completely shifted and changed as a character, and my opinions about her changed as well. So there's that for you. Let's add The Queen's Assassin to the chart. Up until the last 30 pages, I was dead set that this was a 3-star book. But honestly, given that ending, I'm very tempted to give it 4 stars. It's really 3.5, and it really could go either way, and I wouldn't be disappointed with either. It genuinely is just like a 3.5 star. I'm very interested to pick up book 2, which is The Queen's Secret. And also something that I really enjoy is that they set up the second book so well in the very end. I'm so pleasantly surprised. I'm very thrown by how that book just ended in all the best ways. But now what you're really interested in, which is, what is book S? I still can't believe we're on book S. That's wild. Let's start with the first book that I considered, which was Shatter Me. I have not read this series. I know everyone's obsessed with it, but frankly, I have been debating doing a vlog, just reading the entire Shatter Me series. And I don't want to read the first book now and then wish I hadn't so I could read it for that vlog later. So for that reason, we will not be reading Shatter Me. Then, of course, is Spectacular by Stephanie Garber. Now, this is actually the Caraval trilogy novella, and it's going to be 3.5. So it's going to be what happens after finale. Only issue is it's not out yet. It does come out in October, and originally when I was planning on finishing the series in November, it was what I was going to read without a doubt for S, up until I realized that I would have to be reading before the 22nd. So sadly, we'll not be reading Spectacular. As for what we are reading, and the reason why I chose it is because it is the perfect fall cozy read. Or at least that's what TikTok has been saying. I have to read The Spell Shop. It's supposed to be a cozy, fun, quick read, nice and lighthearted, nice and cozy. I'm going to be starting it first thing tomorrow. Guys, if I have to not watch Dancing with the Stars tomorrow night, I'll sacrifice that so that I can read The Spell Shop. It honestly sounds really fun. All I know about it is that there's a spell shop, and there's a girl who runs it, and she's an introvert, and apparently she's, like, not likable. I guess that's what Goodreads has been saying. Like, she has a fun kind of, like, character arc, if you will. Then there's something about her assistant being a plant. I don't know what to think about that, but maybe I'll totally vibe with it. I only got to do a little bit of reading this morning, but I'm already on chapter 5 of The Spell Shop, which is about 12% of the way through the book, and I already have so much that I just want to say. This book is 110% vibes. Like, if you want cozy fall vibes, pick up this book. I am sucked in. It is currently a cold, rainy day in Tennessee, and I am in an oversized sweater, and I'm ready to brew some tea and curl up on my couch and probably finish the rest of this book in one sitting because I am just ready. I have been waiting all day at work to clock out so that I can read this book. So there's this girl. She's an introvert. Honestly, I think when people on Goodreads were saying she wasn't likable, I think it's just that the villagers in this book don't think she's likable, but in my opinion, she's a totally real character. She just wants to run a bookshop, not talk to people all day, and hang out with her assistant, who is a plant. That was real. I thought that was a joke. It's very real. I must say, though, he is quickly becoming my favorite character. Imagine Elsa owned a bookshop and Olaf was her assistant. Like, that is kind of the dynamic that you get here, and I am eating it up. Absolutely eating it up. Honestly, I haven't read that much, so I can't really speak to it much, but the premise is really, really fun. I must say, I really want to look up fan art because I'm really struggling to imagine the main character. When I first started reading it, I saw Jenna Ortega. They hadn't even described how she looked at all, but just like the way she talked, that kind of like dry, straightforward, no nonsense kind of speak, it reminded me of a lot of the characters that Jenna Ortega has played. So I kind of pictured Jenna Ortega's face, but then they keep saying things like purple freckles and blue hair, and I'm just like, what in the world does this chick look like? Also, can we just take a minute? We never really talked about the cover of this book. That is stunning. There's like a little cat with wings sleeping on the steps. Haven't met that cat yet, but I'm obsessed. Also, there's this thing where she goes back to the village she grew up in. And this is like in the first like 2 chapters, so this isn't spoiling anything. She moves back into the old cottage that she lived at with her parents growing up, and it's been abandoned. And so she has basically this whole montage of like making it a livable cottagecore space again. Honestly, the plot is not there. It is all vibes, no plot. Do I think there's potentially an interesting plot? Yes. It's kind of funny. Every once in a while, the character will throw out like a little plot twist at you, but she'll throw it at you in such a nonchalant way that it's like, wait, what did I just read? It's really fun, honestly. The writing style is also just so easy to read. Like, I'm reading it very quickly. I only had a little bit of time to read this morning, and I felt like I was flying through it. Let's brew some tea and fly through it together.
Something that's real, that's alive. Don't want no phone static, phone static, oh. Phone static, oh. I'm tired of being by myself, but it's better.
Hi, can we talk about the spell shop? I would like to talk about the spell shop. I am on chapter 30 currently, which means I'm about 3/4 of the way through this book. I'm a little confused because what I assumed was the main conflict of the book has already been resolved. So I have no clue what's going to happen for the rest of this book. In my opinion, the book could end in this next chapter, and it would be like a full book from beginning to end. So I don't know if there's going to be another plot twist or if something else is going to come up. I'm not really sure. That's not a negative thing. Maybe. It depends. If nothing happens for the next quarter of the book and it's like, what was the point? Then maybe that'll be an issue. But as of right now, I'm not really concerned. I'm just a little curious. Because who knows? Maybe there's going to be a huge plot twist and there's like a whole new conflict we have to figure out. That could be the case. Let me set one thing straight if you are considering reading this book, which I think you should. I don't care who you are, I think you should read this book. It's very, very good. However, if you want to read this book as like a quick weekend read, if you're doing a reading challenge, or if you want to do the 24-hour reading challenge for whatever reason, if you're trying to read this book quickly in like 1 or 2 or even 3 sittings, don't do it. This book is best enjoyed a couple chapters every morning with a cup of coffee, or if you're a night reader, a couple chapters before bed with some tea. This is not the kind of book that you sprint read. Let me explain. I do the entire plot recaps for Throne of Glass. Shameless plug, I guess, but I give detailed scene by scene, chapter by chapter of what happens in these books. And it takes a couple hours per book to lay out the plot for you. If I were to do an entire plot episode giving you a play-by-play of everything that happens in this book, it might be 25 minutes. Nothing's really happening. It's just purely vibes, which I'm here for. The vibes are immaculate. Honestly, I feel like this could be a game, like a cozy game, almost kind of like Sims, you know, like you're the main character, you get your little cabin, and you have to make and sell jam and protect your little spell books, fall in love, and get the people who live on the island to like you by helping them by doing tasks around the island. You know, it just seems like the perfect cozy little video game. If for whatever reason some sort of producer is out there watching this, I doubt it. You need to buy the rights to this. Anywho, I digress. I'm a little sad that I have yet to come across a cat with wings like there is on the cover of the photo. I was really looking forward to meeting a winged cat. Maybe that's going to be the big plot twist of the end, is that there's a winged cat. I wish. But we have talking succulents, we have talking plants, we have mer horses, not to be confused with seahorses or seals. They're actually like mermaid horses. We have... what else do we have? We have centaurs. We have people with horns. We have people with blue hair. We have people with purple freckles. We have people of all colors of the rainbow. And I'm here for it. It is so fun hearing the descriptions of these characters. Honestly, up until I started talking for this recording, I was like, it's a 5-star book. Nothing is happening. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, this is really fun and cozy. I really wish I'd just read this over a series of multiple days over coffee first thing in the morning, because it is definitely like a cozy little book. I could say cozy about 1,000 more times and it wouldn't be enough. I just highly recommend this book if you're looking for a cozy, soft, fluffy read. Now, I am ready to finish this book because the fact that nothing is happening makes me not want to spend hours at a time reading this book. Like, I want to have it in small doses, but at the same time, I need to finish filming this so that I can edit and post it for you guys in 48 hours. So we're going to finish this book tonight. We have no choice. So we're going to have another little reading sprint and we'll add it to the chart. That I just need to have someone right beside me, or else I'm nothing. I have finally finished Spell Shop. Let's talk about it. Thankfully, the winged cat did come into play. I'm a little disappointed in how not big of a part it played in the plot, considering that it's literally on the cover and I was looking forward to it like the whole book, but that's besides the point. I did, however, read the acknowledgments at the end of the book and I thought it was spot on. The author literally said that she was drinking a cup of hot cocoa and she decided she wanted to write a book that feels the way hot cocoa tastes. And I know that sounds like a really weird analogy, but that's the best way possibly to describe this book. Very cozy, very fun, very enjoyable, not very nutritious, if you will, but no, it was really good. It was really fun. If you are looking for something really chill, then this is a 5-star book. But for me personally, I think I'm going to give it 4 stars. Let's add it to the reading chart. The Spell Shop, 4-star book. This is mostly because there were way too many tacky moments. Like, tacky moments that almost kind of pulled me out of the book and made me cringe really bad. You know, during those really cringy, like, Disney musical movies where the acting gets really dramatic and then someone just breaks out in song and you just have that, like, internal cringe. There were lots of moments in this book like that, and I get that's for some people. Unfortunately, it's not for me. But if you like Hallmark movies and you like that cheesy tackiness, then this book is 100% for you. So that is the end of this episode of the ABC Reading Challenge. I cannot believe we only have 3 episodes left. I feel like we've been doing this challenge forever, but also I feel like we just started at the same time. If you're interested in catching up on the ABC Challenge, you can find it in my Reading Challenges playlist, as well as you should definitely subscribe for when I post episode TUV.